Welcome, everyone. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the United States and to the republic for one nation, under God, liberty and justice.
Our first order of business is to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and being acted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless noted.
Madam President, I move approval of the consent agenda with the exception of number 1, because it's a duplicate, and we've already done that.
Second.
We have a first motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, our first item on our regular agenda is Ordinance 241, addressing our drone policy, a request for adoption, and we will turn it over to Mr. Inselman.
Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, Gary Inselman, Deputy Director, Development Technical Services. This is a public hearing, so if you could open the public hearing and then close it at the end of the item. And with this presentation, I'll...
That should be done right now.
We hereby open the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will provide one presentation for Ordinance 241 and Resolution 2280, but we'll need 2 motions and 2 separate actions on the items. Ordinance 241, the proposed policy adds section 2032 to the ACHD policy manual. This does require all drone operations follow all FAA, state, and local regulations, among other summary of other items on the slide. And drones may not be used for any non-district flights. Resolution 2280, it does establish an operations manual for ACHD. It requires that all drone operators obtain FAA commercial UAS remote pilot certification. They must be able to fly the drones manually, and it establishes pre-flight, in-flight, and post-flight procedures, among other requirements. Staff does recommend with your action that you do add a requirement that operators must complete an annual check flight with the ACHD drone program coordinator each year to demonstrate continued proficiency with all pre-flight, in-flight, and post-flight procedures and good ability to manually control the UAS. This slide is an example of one of the capabilities of the drone that's on the dais there today. This is from an infrared camera of the Main Street Bridge over the river. And it's a little hard to see with it copied onto a slide, but it does give us the ability to, this is a patch from years ago, which is indicated here. And then we have areas of new delamination in the deck that we are able to determine with this machine, which keeps our staff from having to do expensive traffic control setup and road closure to do that. And we can direct our inspectors and maintenance program to these areas in the future to take care of those. With that, staff does recommend adoption of Ordinance 241 as presented. A reminder that this does require a supermajority vote of the commissioners, all 4 present today. And in a separate action, the adoption of Resolution 2280 is presented, including the requirement for the annual check flight. With that, I would stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Inselman?
My only question is how have we been operating up to this point? Has FAA, has they then been approving us? Because we've got, what, three drones we've been using, or?
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, we've been following this procedure all along. This is just formally adopting it into our policy. And yes, we are certified through the FAA. Our pilots have gone to the class, received the certification and advanced training.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Doesn't look like we have anybody formally signed up to comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up and address?
Are we going to see a demonstration?
Yeah, close them.
Seeing none, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have before you ordinance 241, drone policy request for adoption?
Madam President, I would move that we approve ordinance 241 as written and as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, before you, you have Resolution 2280, ACHD UAS Operations Manual Request for Adoption. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move approval of Resolution 2280, ACHD UAS Operations Manual, which also should include the requirement for an annual flight check section as presented by staff.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Our next item is condemnation of right-of-way for Cole Road and Victory Road intersection, parcel 20, 7150 West Victory Road, Boise, Idaho. We're looking at a request for approval. We will open the public hearing and we will have a presentation.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Commissioners, for the record, David Serdar, right-of-way supervisor, Ada County Highway District. This is a public hearing and decision briefing for the condemnation of parcel number 20 on the Cole Road and Victory intersection project. This project is on the ACHD Integrated 5-Year Work Plan and is scheduled to begin in November of 2019, which is the first quarter of fiscal year 20. This is an aerial view of the property in question. The property is situated east of Cole Road, which is actually over here. The property is occupied by Dennis Dillon and also owned by one of the Dillon family, as well as Dennis Dillon occupies this piece right here and is a part of both the same site. The red is the fee acquisition, the green is the permanent easement, and the yellow is the temporary construction easement. This is the eastern terminus of the through U on the Victory Road, Cole Road project. This is a more close-up view of the acquisition, where once again the red is the fee acquisition, the green is the permanent easement, and the yellow is the temporary construction easement. Property size before is 1.182 acres. Acquisition area is 4,658 square feet. Permanent easement is 265 square feet. Temporary easement is 3,092 square feet. Property owner initially met with agent and discussed their concerns clear back in June of 2018. The property was completed, the appraisal, was completed in January of 2019. An offer was made on February 7th, 2019. Property owner has not responded to agent's communications for several months. There have been multiple attempts at communications between property owners and also the property owner's representative and ACHD since. It is staff recommendation that we proceed with the condemnation process. and declare that the acquisition area is necessary for the project as a public right-of-way for a highway and public use, authorize staff to proceed with the condemnation action, and execute an order of condemnation for the acquisition area. I will remain standing for any comments or questions.
Are there any questions?
Madam President,
Mr. Baker?
what was the offer?
The offer was, Madam President, Commissioner Baker, the offer was $55,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? I guess that's it. Again, no one has officially signed up to comment on this item. Would anyone in the audience like to come up and address the commission? Seeing none, I will formally close the public hearing.
Madam Vice President, I would move that we approve the request for approval of the condemnation of right-of-way for Cole and Victory Road with parcel 20 at 7150 West Victory Road.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Oh, I had opposed the design on this. I don't support this roundabout, this U-turn. I think there's insufficient evidence to support the public necessity, public benefit at the least public cost. So I'll be voting against the condemnation.
Have a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is resolution number 954A, first addendum to vacation and property exchange agreement with Boise State. The request for approval, and we will have a presentation from Ms. Christy Little.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. For the record, Christy Little, Development Services. I'll keep this very brief. This is resolution number 954A, which is the first addendum to the right-of-way and property exchange agreement between ACHD and Boise State University. Way back in 2010, the Commission approved resolution number 954, which was the adoption of the original agreement between BSU and ACHD. And within that agreement, there were several acknowledgements. One of those was that ACHD would consider vacations of streets and alleys within the BSU campus, subject to Commission approval and with no monetary compensation to ACHD. Also part of that agreement, BSU was required to install a pedestrian signal at Beacon and Manitou and to dedicate right-of-way along Beacon Street for future widening. Those are just a couple of the original requirements. There were many other more general, like if ACHD were to need property for a project within the campus, the BSU would dedicate that property at no cost to ACHD. And there were some other inclusions about easements. The one thing that 2010 agreement didn't do was establish timeframes for those improvements and rights-of-way dedications by BSU. So in October of 2017, you may recall also that BSU came to ACHD to vacate 2 alleys so that they could construct 2 major buildings for their campus, South Campus expansion. And the Commission approved those vacations subject either to the 2010 agreement being updated or monetary compensation. In the interest of time, and so that our staff could continue working on an agreement, Boise State did provide compensation in the amount of about $268,000 for those 2 alleys. So now we come before you with that first addendum that was contemplated in 2017 with those alley vacations. So all of the same considerations are in place from the original 2010 agreement. This updated addendum does formalize the timelines of when BSU needs to complete their right-of-way dedications and their improvements. I might add the pedestrian signal at Beacon and Manitou should be ready to go before college starts for fall semester. So we really appreciate that. This agreement also then authorizes reimbursement of that $268,000 back to Boise State, acknowledging that this addendum satisfies the conditions of the 2017 vacation. Staff recommends approval of resolution number 954A. I'll stand for questions, and Boise State is represented here as well today.
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff?
I have a few questions. I'm glad this is coming back to us because I've been wondering what's been going on along Beacon. It's another example of 4 lanes, which are not very safe because there's turning movements happening in both the right lane and the left lane in each direction. So the opportunity to design it in a way that you have a center turn lane and a through lane, much like we did on Emerald and a number of other places. Where we are on that, the other is, of course, the volumes continue to rise. I see the construction at Manitou. I'm glad, finally, to see some construction because we had hoped to have that done before the Broadway Bridge was even completed by ITD. Where are we on the design for Beacon to ensure the flow of all forms?
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, we don't have Beacon Street programmed for any changes. It's certainly as the university expands closer to Beacon, they are dedicating the right-of-way so that we have the opportunity for extending those bike lanes off of Protest and Boise Avenue down Beacon and to Broadway, but we don't have any budget or program for Beacon Street.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, great. And we have no program and no expectation that BSU is going to do any other crosswalk. It's a long distance between Lincoln and Broadway, and to have one signalized crosswalk finally at Manitou is good, but there's probably the need for 2 more.
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, as the south area expansion occurs, as the campus develops further south, south of University and north of Beacon, as those development applications come forward, we will be examining those for any additional improvements. So the improvements don't end with the agreement. This just puts timelines on the previously agreed to projects.
Good. Good. Well, those are the questions I'd love to ask BSU. So when they get up here, I'll direct it to them.
Do you have some that you want?
Yeah. So I just want to know what the timing of the whether there's any plans to improve the crossings. So if they can come forward, that'd be great.
Come up to the
Plans for that area.
Thank you very much. If you could please state your name and address for our records.
Absolutely. Madam President, I'm Randy McDermott with Boise State University, 1910 University Drive, Boise, Idaho, 83725.
Welcome. Commissioner Hanson.
So you're new. I've asked this many times. This is an area I'm very familiar with. The student population, lots of student population to the south of Beacon, lots of movement of students across and through that. This is very high walking and biking area. And I've always thought that just one crossing was insufficient, and it's taking so long just to get that one. So the importance of where we are, either plans for BSU. Typically what we do is we wait for development to happen. In this case, the students are already there. They're just going to different buildings on campus. You don't have to build the buildings next to the road for them to go to them. So the movement's already happening now. What the plans are to ensure that that doesn't become a very dangerous area, especially after hours, the non-peak hours when the traffic is moving fast. It's a straight shot. Right now it's from Broadway to Lincoln, and it's not safe.
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, thank you for that. As you know, we're still trying to take care of some safety on the internal parts
Yes.
of the campus that will be back before you for in a few weeks, I believe. That's our top priority project. After that, we are looking at a baseball field there across from Albertsons that sits next to Beacon, which will really increase the activity in that area. And I can imagine that would be a good spot for the next crossing on Beacon. We haven't begun design on that project just yet, but I can imagine we'll be back before you in relation to that in due time.
It's a priority from the people I represent, it's a safety issue just because of the location of that. And because there's two separate jurisdictions, there needs to be a lot of coordination. Actually, a third is the city of Boise, should be coordinating with that. I don't know, maybe they'll put a urban renewal district along there to get some of that
Yes.
famous last words. So anyway, it's a very big concern, and it's just taking extraordinarily long to get just that one crossing in. And I'd like to see something happen a lot sooner. Thank you.
Madam President?
Commissioner Baker?
Yes, just, so you're planning on doing the actual Beacon-Manitou crossing before school starts, so is it underway at this point?
Yep.
Madam President, Commissioner Baker, yes, it is. It's
Okay,
underway
because,
currently.
you know, in 2017, I remember this conversation, and it was very sketchy as to when it was actually going to occur, so,
It is happening now.
okay,
Yes.
great, thank you.
Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excited to see this project moving forward. Commission, you have resolution number 954A in front of you. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move approval of resolution number 954A, first addendum to ACHD and BSU agreement.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is public communications. Does anyone have anything they would like to come forward and address the commission about?
Seeing none, I do just want to take this opportunity to say welcome and congratulations to Cheryl Bloom. I think with her expertise and passion, she's going to be quite an asset to our ADA Advisory Committee, and we're glad to see you join the team. So welcome.
Welcome to you, Cheryl. And I want to wish everybody a happy and very safe 4th of July. And thank you for being here today. Stand adjourned.